A lot of people understand the ruling elite that own and control this world. They're in the bloodline. All related, even the so-called puppets, such as Madonna and Celine Dion, Tom Hanks, Brad Pitt. Not just puppets, but they're in the actual bloodline. And understand there's a lot of disinfo agents, such as David Icke, stating how these people, they're all reptilians, and their bloodline comes from another world, another planet, Draconia. And this is what disinfo agents do. They mix truth with lies. The bloodline, actually, they are extraterrestrials, you can say. They're not of this world. They are the bloodline of the fallen ones, of Lucifer and his angels, as it states in the Bible, how they were thrown from heaven and how they mingled with female humans. And a lot of people make videos on this subject when it comes to the bloodline. Well, I'm just not going to make a video stating things. I'm actually going to connect dots. I'm not just pulling things out of thin air, so people can see with evidence and proof what's really taking place. I'm going to play a video clip where the narrator speaks a lot of truth, but again mixing in lies. When he talks about how the Bible talks about how giants were thrown to earth and they were called the Nephilim, that's absolutely not true at all. Nephilim comes from the root word nephal, which means to fall. These were fallen angels that mingled with female humans, and their offspring became giants. So again, there's a difference between Nephilim and giants. Giants are simply the offspring of the Nephilim mixed with female humans. That's what Goliath was. He was a giant. It's mentioned in Numbers in the Bible how scouts went into a land, and that's where they saw the giants, and they were like grasshoppers compared to them. And they talked about how they ate humans, how they were cannibals. And I made videos in the past talking about the Baalbek temples and those huge 100-ton stones that were moved from a quarry to build the Temple of Baalbek.
In Lebanon, 44 miles from Beirut, are the imposing ruins of Baalbek. There is mention of this place in the Old Testament's Book of Kings.
Baalbek in particular is a very good example. That has the trilithon. Those are the largest stones in the world ever used for construction. They're so large we don't even know their actual weight. Those stones were somehow quarried, moved 5 miles, lifted 25-30 feet in the air, and placed together so closely that you can't fit a razor blade or a piece of paper in between them. We have no idea how they did it. We don't have a crane in the world that can lift weights anywhere near what those things are.
No one knows for sure, but according to Arab tradition, the earliest temples were built here after the Great Flood by a tribe of giants for the biblical king Nimrod.
And also, of course, the pyramids and Stonehenge. It's been said these are unsolved mysteries, when in actuality these were created by the giants. This is part of hidden history. And people might wonder what happened to these giants. Well, that's when the floods came and they wiped them out. Even though you killed the flesh, the spirit still lives. And there were giants after those days as well. But they did not survive. There was not a large amount of these giants. Basically a tribe of giants. And these tribes were of the Satanic bloodline. Like I said, from the fallen angels. I'm going to play this video clip. And you got to understand with this clip, there's a lot of truth in it. But again, the portion where he mentions how Nephilim were giants falling from heaven, it's not true actually, like I said. And this is what disinfo agents do. They'll speak a ton of truth, but they'll mix in a little lies. Just enough lies to lead people off course. Still a very good presentation, but good discernment is needed. Just like David Icke, calling the Satanic bloodline, the fallen angels, reptilians from another world.
Reptilian gods from the heavens creating man is not at all uncommon. It in fact can be found in most every region of our planet. In Japan, emperors claim descent from dragon gods who came from the sky. Australian Aborigines teach of a reptilian race which lives underneath the earth and governs over men. They believe they are descendants of a race of dragon human. China teaches the serpent queen Nukua interbred with man. India calls these reptilian gods Nagas and claim they seeded their royal families. Throughout the Middle East it is believed a serpent race created man. The book of Genesis tells of giants who came from the heavens to breed with the daughters of man. They are called the Nephilim. In Africa they call them Chitauri, children of the serpent. The royal kings of Africa claim descent from serpent gods who came from the sky. In South America, the Mayans teach that their ancestors were the people of the serpent. The Aztecs were said to be created by a serpent woman. In America, the Hopi Indians believe sky gods came to earth to breed with their women and refer to them as their snake brothers. The word Sioux means snakes, and Iroquois means serpents. It seems the only places you will not find this historical story is where the history has been methodically destroyed. The descendants of King Anu in Sumeria and Babylon can be traced throughout time. The pharaohs of Egypt were from the bloodlines of the Babylonian kings. The rulers of the Roman Empire can be traced to Egyptian hierarchy. All throughout Europe, the royal families can be traced back to the great Roman emperors. 34 of the presidents of the United States are directly descended from European royalty, with the remaining 8 who are only closely related to these same bloodlines. In 1934, President Franklin Roosevelt placed the Great Seal, originally created in 1782 by the Freemasons, on the dollar bill. Represented in the Great Seal is a pyramid and the all-seeing eye, known to be used by the elusive society, the Illuminati. Strung together in conspiratorial confusion are secret societies such as the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and the Bohemian Club. In 1917, National Geographic did a story on a place in Montreal, California called Bohemian Grove. The story reports a place where the world's elite, members of the Bohemian Club, retreat to in late July and conduct an ancient occult ceremony called the Cremation of Care. Every year in July, the world's leaders, media moguls, and members of the World Bank spend 2 weeks of what is known as a men-only retreat at the Grove. In the year 2000, BBC television show World of Wonder infiltrated Bohemian Grove with hidden cameras and aired the video on the BBC. The video shows the large mass of men donning red and black robes and once again conducting the Cremation of Care ceremony. The altar is at the base of a 200-foot owl, the Babylonian symbol of the god Moloch, the god of human sacrifice. In the video, a body is delivered upriver to the altar where it is set on fire. Upon being aired, members of the Bohemian Club reported that the ceremony is a put-on, merely done for entertainment and fun. This history tells a story of our world leaders having a deep involvement in satanic tradition, worshipping our reptilian overlords, the serpent gods. It poses the possibility that we may be and have always been enslaved by our leaders, no different than sheep or cattle.
And like I stated earlier in the video, I just don't pull things out of thin air to make connections. I'm going to touch upon Vlad the Impaler, also known as Dracula, and understand how Dracula, with the origin of that meaning for that name in Romanian means. It means son of Dracul. Therefore, young Vlad was son of the dragon or son of the devil. And you're going to see the connection with this video clip with Prince Charles talking about how he's related to Vlad the Impaler. So you're going to see how the so-called elite that run this world from behind the scenes, they're all in the bloodline of Lucifer and the fallen angels.
I am Dracula.
Prince Charles and Dracula, two names that don't seem to go together. However, the Romanian Tourism Board is playing up a connection between Prince Charles and Count Dracula. Romanian officials have released a brochure at a World Travel Market, a travel industry event in London, including a fact that 63-year-old Prince Charles has a distant link to Vlad the Impaler, a nobleman from the 15th century who helped to inspire the vampire legend Dracula. Last year, the prince stated in an interview, "Transylvania is in my blood. The genealogy shows I am descendant of Vlad the Impaler, so I do have a bit of a stake in the country."
And His Royal Highness Prince Charles who can trace his ancestry back to Romania's dark and distant past.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler, you see. So I do have a bit of a stake in the country.
Prince Charles actually owns a house in Transylvania, and he appears in a video used by Romanian authorities to promote the country. The Prince of Wales is certainly not ashamed of his heritage and Romanian roots. He states, "Transylvania has so much to teach us. It's the last corner of Europe where we see true sustainability. We must learn from that before it's too late." What do you think about a possible connection between Prince Charles and Dracula?
Now, taking a look at this side-by-side of Prince Charles and Dracula, the resemblance is amazing. Look at that nose. Basically identical. The facial features, one and the same. I can completely see how they are related, no doubt. Now understand, of course, Dracula is well known for drinking blood, and this is all about Satanism, of course, doing everything in opposition of the Bible, where the Bible states in Deuteronomy, "Only be sure that you eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh." Like I've stated many times in my past videos, Hollywood, of course, is owned and controlled by the Satanists. And with this movie scene from Pulp Fiction, with John Travolta and Uma Thurman in the restaurant, John Travolta orders a steak, and Uma Thurman orders a hamburger. And of course, they both order it bloody. These are little subtle hints that goes over people's heads that watch these movies. This is why the so-called elite are called the enlightened ones. And it's very sad. It reminds me of the quote from George Lucas, who stated right before the filming of Phantom Menace, "Why does the public watch movies? Why is the public so stupid?" And this is what he's referring to. People watch movies and don't get a lot of these hidden messages. Take a look, and also after this scene, I'm going to play a clip that shows the 666 with the briefcase, showing the satanic connection with Pulp Fiction. Not just Pulp Fiction, with all of Hollywood, owned and controlled by the Satanists.
Hi, I'm Buddy. What can I get you? Let's see, steak. Oh, yeah, there's Douglas Sirk steaks. Have that.
How do you want that cooked? Run to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Bloody as hell, and oh yeah, look at this. Vanilla Coke.
What about you, Peggy Sue?
I'll have the Durwood Kirby burger. Bloody.
And of course, the director of Pulp Fiction was Quentin Tarantino. Just look at the Masonic, satanic hand signs, just like Baphomet. Taking a look at this image, full of blood, and what do you see? The X on his forehead. And that's the mark of Satan himself. Just like on well-known Satanist Kevin Sullivan, here with the fallen angel Nancy Sullivan. How obvious can it be? To make it in this world, you must be a Satanist. Getting back to Kevin Sullivan, he was the head booker of WCW Wrestling, which of course was owned and controlled by Ted Turner. Out of all the people that he had controlling WCW Wrestling from behind the scenes, making the matches, booking the storylines, it was a Satanist. Now to get back on topic with the Bloodline, specifically with Barack Obama, before I show that clip with him on BET talking about how he's related to Dick Cheney, listen to what Lynn Cheney, Dick Cheney's wife, says about Barack Obama. This is all about mockery. And you'll see her do the 666 hand sign when she talks about the Bloodline. Take a look. It's right in your face. This is what Satanism is all about. Mockery and lying. Because of course, like the Bible states, Satan is the father of all lies. There's no truth in him. And that's why when I always say all these news stories, you see these 24/7 covered news stories are nothing but lies, nothing but hoaxes, nothing but psyops. You need to understand this is the way the Bloodline operate. There's no truth in them, nothing but lies. And the only truth you'll get is hidden message as form of mockery. Take a look and listen.
But I have to admit to a certain bias here. To get back to my book for a minute, in my book there's a lot of genealogical research, you know, going back, Dick's family, my family, these heroic and amazing tales of people who went west. But one of the things I discovered is that Dick and Barack Obama are 8th cousins. What? Is that an amazing thing? Yes, if you go back 8 generations,
Really?
they have a common ancestor.
So you're for Barack Obama?
No, but I thought I should admit this fact as evidence that maybe I'm not completely objective about Mrs. Clinton. But think about this. This is such an amazing American story that one ancestor, that one ancestor.
Either of those first 2 books, though, who knew you and Dick Cheney cousins?
You know, these folks have been doing all these genealogies on me, and yeah, they've found all sorts of strange connections.
This has got to be the strangest, though.
Well, listen, if you go back far enough, you know, you got all kinds of crooks and thieves in your family. I'm not necessarily drawing that analogy. I'm just saying, you don't know who's back there.
What did you make of that story? For those who don't know this, so Lynn Cheney, the vice president's wife, has been doing some genealogy connected to her latest book, and lo and behold, way back, 8 generations ago? 8
generations or
you
something.
and Mr. Cheney apparently have some distant relative. What did you make of that story when it came
You know,
out?
I actually knew about it because
The name of my cousin, Dick Cheney, will not be on the ballot.
Now more on the Satanic Bloodline. Let's focus on Brad Pitt, Tom Hanks, Madonna, and not shown on this chart, but it's also mentioned Lady Gaga's in the Bloodline as well. Now getting back to Brad Pitt, take a look at this quote from the Huffington Post during the filming of Moneyball. I can really try on something different for myself. That was Satanism. It really worked out well. I made a pact. That's why. And interesting enough, talking about the bloodline that goes all the way back to Dracula, look at this photo of Angelina Jolie, of course, married to Brad Pitt. What do you see? Her tasting the blood. This is how the Satanists do it. They love to mock right in plain sight. People see this and they cannot connect the dots. They don't understand the occult. They don't understand what's taking place in this world full of deception, lies, and mockery. And taking a look at this puppet in the game, Keisha, she's simulating drinking blood with this heart on stage. Completely sick and satanic. Disgusting. And taking a look at this interview from E! Online with Billy Bob Thornton, of course, the ex-husband of Angelina Jolie. And he mentions how Angelina Jolie wore a vial of blood around her neck. These are the Satanists in the game. We'll go down to the quote. He talks about, and we were vampires and we lived in a dungeon. Vampires, and of course the bloodline going back again to Vlad the Impaler, or Dracula as he was known as well. And to conclude this presentation, I'm going to play several clips from Tom Hanks' 1989 movie called The Burbs. In the very last scene where Tom Hanks' friend points at the satanic book, then points at Tom Hanks' head, stating, once they get in your head, pal, it's all over. And to me, this is a reference to the school textbooks which teach the theory of evolution, and that's why they say get them while they're young. Once you've been programmed, it's very hard to unprogram the mind. And that's exactly why they created this public school system, to indoctrinate the masses into the satanic system of evolution of no God.
Satanists, huh? Ritual killers. Nice. Very, very nice.
I'm telling you, these people are Satanists. As I sit here, they are Satanists. Look, the world is full of these kind of things. Look at this. Black masses, mutilations. Unconscious chanting. You're chanting. I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal. Hey, once they get in here, it's over, pal.